Okay, I've been wanting to do this set of these videos for a while now. Basically what we're going to do is, there's been a lot of questions over the years about shortening the steering column. Okay, a couple of ways to do it, that kind of thing. Couple different things to deal with about it. One thing is basically you got to be able to remove this from the vehicle. Okay, now you don't have to take the whole steering box out. So that's what I'm going to go over today. I'm not going to remove the steering box from the frame. What happens here is when you unbolt this, let's say you take the tie rods off the pitman arm and stuff like that, there's not enough room to come in and down and go under the frame to slide it out of the firewall. What you have to do is you have to take the steering wheel off, take your seat out, and then you have to lift this up over the radiator and pull it out. Either way, kind of a pain in the butt. It's always a pain in the butt getting the tie rod end off or taking the pitman arm off, that kind of thing. If you can just separate this, it's actually a good bit easier. You don't have to deal with the weight on this or anything like that. So we're going to play around with a few things on that today. I think if I get a chance, I'll address the steering column end as well. And dead battery again. Man, this is just awesome. Well, let's start with cleaning it up just a little bit. Get the cheapest friggin' wire brush you can get from Harbor Freight or whatever. And of course, a little easier if you got some air there, but I'm not particularly concerned with the body out here. I don't plan on doing anything with that. What I'm trying to do is get the dirt around the bolts and the seal here. This isn't necessarily a steering box I plan on keeping, but just in case, I want to make sure I don't dump too much garbage into the steering box. So I'm going to continue on with that. I'll clean up around here and stuff like that, and save you. All right, if your garage or shop is attached to your house, once you're done blowing all the greasy crap away, you're going to want to go along and blow all the greasy crap out of your walkway so you don't track it into your house. Sure, you could sweep it up, but what fun would that be? Alright, you can see the putty knife there too. I used the putty knife for scraping some of the big stuff out of the broader, more flat areas and stuff like that. So cleaned around here real well, or apparently not. And I cleaned around here, so I'm not too worried about it being perfect, but I did get the majority of the junk out of my way. So let's start disassembling here a bit. Actually, maybe I'll start at the steering column because I want to take that end apart first, since that's what you would have to do. This is the sector shaft cover. That's the sector shaft adjusting screw. Okay, in the thread on Ratson, I'll post a picture or whatever, but I'm pretty sure you have to pull this off first. I'm going to pull these four and see if it's still stuck, and if it is, then I'll pull that screw out too, but let's see here. Now, I would have taken this off to show you too, but as you can see, that's broken. Well, there we go. I didn't try that before. All right. And I could probably shine a light in there and see. Yeah, I'm not sure if it pushes down on the sector shaft or pulls up on it. So, let's, there we go, we got it broke loose. It's still captured, so basically what you do is it's a 9/16. We'll put that over there. We'll hold the screw. Oh, that doesn't work. Let's see if we can, oh man, somebody's got that sucker tight. Can we slide it out of a... Nope. It's captured in there. Okay, I'm gonna have to fight with that a bit. All right, let's put. Maybe I'm making it harder on myself than I need to. Let's put a couple of these in to anchor the plate, since that's tightened against the plate. There we go. All right, so next time, pull that first. And it's still not going to lift off of there. So let's yeah, the plate's threaded as well. So now I'm pulling this off for the so you can see what's going on in here before I pull this. And while I pull it, I did not take any of this out when I pulled this the first time. I shortened the steering column in my wife's 521 years and years ago. And so you can see what happens here. With the steering wheel on, the spline's up there, okay? And I could probably just get away with grabbing the tie rod end. Right, okay. Now, the ball screws reach a limit in here to how far they can go, okay? Because I don't have any tie rods hooked up here. Normally in the truck, if you're doing this while it's in the vehicle, you're either going to have to drop the pitman arm or disconnect the tie rod ends. Might be easiest just to disconnect them out at the kingpins, out at the spindles. Whatever's easiest for you, just disconnect them there, okay? I'll make sure that stays up in there so it doesn't bind, but we're going to go all the way to the other side. Okay, and the sector shaft gear is actually bottoming out against a boss over there. Is that what's happening? Well, let me spin it the other way. I got a feeling that's, yeah, there's a similar boss right up in there in the casting. Right there. And so I'm sure that's probably what that's hitting. So let's spin it the other way. Yep, that's what it's hitting. Okay, so make sure you remember to put this back in. Okay, it goes in either way, but let's take it out of there so it doesn't fall down in there. Because if it fell down in there, I would have to take this box all apart and off and everything like that and flip it upside down if to get it out of there. Okay, so let me check a couple other things and we'll move on from there. All right, just a couple seconds here. If you notice, okay, this is the picture out of the manual that I blew up, printed on my bigger printer and that stuff, make it a little easier to see. Now notice that the sector shaft is on the right-hand side here. That's because pretty much all of the diagrams you see in any of the books and that stuff are all for the right-hand drive, the Japanese truck. So when you look at this, keep in mind that this diagram will be backwards, a mirror image of what you're actually looking at, because the sector shaft's on the left here. And that's just a heads up if it looks confusing. All right, I'm pretty much ready to pull it out here. One thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to come in here with the drift, and I'm just going to put a tiny little mark there. I can usually come back and refer to pictures. You know, like I said before, you don't necessarily have to take this plate off to do this, if I remember right. It's been a long time. And I did pull this apart once, and it by pulling the shaft off, I knocked the steering wheel off the other end, and the whole thing about fell down on me. So I had to go back and put the steering wheel back on, put the nut back on. So basically, get this flange right here. That's kind of holding that in fairly tight, you know, even with the bolts out. Okay, so that pulls up. I can't take it any further because I've got the steering wheel on. Okay, and that's fine. I want something to pull against. So let's see. Yeah, it won't come out. I think I'm going to have to disconnect the... let's just push that back in there for a second. And let's pull the... Let me disconnect the steering wheel from the support. Oh! Let's spin it back the other way a little bit. Okay. And let's try it again here. Oh yeah, see, there we go. Okay. Now let's go ahead and put it right back in and see if we can get it back in there. Okay, now I moved. Oh, that's not good. The bearing came off the end. Oh. And I'm dripping on the floor, which I don't like that either. So, I think there's a good chance I'm going to redo this, but then again, you know, I don't mind showing the mistakes in that stuff. So, here's our bearing that fell out, okay? Now, I don't necessarily need to take it out, but I do want to make sure it's sitting back in its race there. And this might be a little... You're going to do it like this in the car, in the vehicle. You're not going to want the steering column or the steering wheel on. So, so let's kind of set that up again and try it one more time, and at least one more time. If that doesn't work, then you know, we'll or if it does work, I'll delete this. And, I'm not saving any of this crap for a blooper reel. Well, I think I'm going to shoot this a couple times here, maybe a couple different sequences, kind of thing, to give you an idea what's going on. Okay, so there's the sector shaft. Here's our gear housing. Actually, probably not even the gear housing. The whole thing is the gear housing. This is the worm assembly, ball nut assembly. Okay, so anyway, I've got the bolts out of here, and I've pulled it in and out of here a couple of times just so I can get the lay of the land. And it's a little harder since I got the jig set up around the thing here, but I've pretty much come to the conclusion you're going to want to take this out of the car to do it. Mainly because, well, as we'll see here, we have to move the whole steering column, what would be to the passenger side, to get it out of here too much. So basically you pull on it a little bit, you give it a little wiggle here. Now I'm turned all the way to the left. Okay. Now I've wiggled enough. I got this loose, and I got a little bit of play here, but I gotta kind of pull straight back here, and I'm still sticking here. The ball nut is too big, okay, to get out of the hole here, so I'm having to rock it over, and then it comes right out. But you only have like a ½ inch of room in the firewall, so there's no way you're gonna have enough room to do that in the thing. And then the other thing is too, is in the car leaning over a fender, I don't know how the heck you're going to deal with keeping this bearing in. So it's hard enough at this angle. So undo the 3 bolts I think it is that hold it in there. Disconnect the tie rod ends from the pitman arm. Pull the whole thing out of the truck. Now I'm going to go ahead and put it right back in. I will probably shoot this a couple of times from a couple different angles. And what you'll see here is that it doesn't really matter. You just don't want the ball screw way up at the top here. Okay. So let's run it down to the bottom. We can actually then turn the whole shaft, and that'll keep this thing from spinning around here. Give us a little bit of control in lining it up. Okay, and I'm going to feed it in at an angle here, and I'm going to get that first tooth in there where I want it, okay? And then I'm going to look in there and make sure that bearing's still okay. Oh, and it slipped. Piece of shiza. Okay, there we go. So it's kind of a balancing act there to get this collar in here and get that bearing lined up, okay? But it's back where it should be. Now let me try a slightly different angle and do it again. All right, I'm gonna shoot this. Don't know if it'll be very pretty. Tried to get another light in there for so you can kind of see what's going on with the bearing there. Okay, so we're basically all the way to the left again. Okay, if you turn it a little too far to the left when you've got these bolts out, it'll actually push it out a bit. So, so let's give it a little wiggle here. Okay, the whole thing turns. You can actually reach down and push the tie rod to help it. Okay, but you can see how that bearing comes around. So the now we need to give it a little twist there, get it out of there, and out it comes. Okay, so that bearing is a pain in the butt at this angle. It would be a lot easier if it whatever you want to call it, you know, if this was vertical. So I'm going to run it in here at a bit of an angle. I don't know if you can even see the gears hardly, but then I'm going to kind of hold it over, and the whole thing kind of went in. I don't know if you noticed that or not. The sector shaft really didn't spin. The whole ball cage assembly, the shaft spun in the ball cage. The sector shaft didn't move. It stayed just about bottomed out against the thing. So we're in, and I'm going to hold the column in there a little bit, and that's starting to bind to push it out. And I'm just going to go ahead and spin it around so the sector shaft goes the other way. Just looking at the pitman arm. Yeah, it's bottomed out that way, and let's go all the way the other way. And that was probably a little too far. Okay, so we're all the way to the left here. I like that, except I think when we actually pull it out, we actually want to be all the way to the right. Let's pull it out again while we're at this camera angle. Might make for some long videos, but hey, nothing compared to those machining ones. Yeah, and see, since we're bottomed out that way, we can't pull it out this way to get the end released from the collar and the bearing there. Okay, so let's just run that back in a bit there. That's probably even a little too far. Yeah, I'm pulling on the tie rod end instead of turning it here. So now when we pull it out a little bit, it comes loose, and there we go. Okay, bearing popped out again. Ball joint cage turned. So you can see that's kind of a pain in the butt to deal with there. So trying to do it really sloppy like here, kind of. Oh, look at that! Look at that! That was really ugly. I got a screwdriver down in there, got that pushed up a little bit, and was able to get it shoved back in. So it really doesn't matter where everything is positioned, as long as you can get it in and out, and as long as that first tooth is in that first valley. So let me see if I can come up with a different angle and try that. One quick little reference. There's a nub right here sticking out of the casting. It actually lines up with a little nub on the outside of the other thing of the box. And there's a metal tab here, a sheet metal tab that you bend to hold the e-brake cable. Okay, that's the orientation for the outside collar. If you take it off and forget which way it goes, it'll bolt on in any direction. But the reason it matters is because your screw hole up at the steering column end matters. You know, that's only in one spot. So if you have it twisted around, your blinker's not going to line up where it's supposed to be. So let's see what it looks like. If I give this a little wiggle and pull it out. Well, there we go. Okay, so the spring came out of there again, or not the spring, the bearing, or the end bearing there. But you can see down inside there. Yeah, you can just kind of see the. Let me move this just a little bit. See if that helps. Yeah, see that bearing in there? Let me go. We'll see if I can push that back up in there. It's kind of hard to do when you've got a screwdriver that's. Oh, there we go. How about that, man? That almost makes me look like I got some talent, which I don't. Okay, so let's go ahead and spin the thing down to here. We're going to get it over here. That way I can use my shaft here to hold that. Okay, and what I'm going to try to do is I'm going to try to get this in here and aimed at an angle so I can get that first tooth engaged, and not even looking down on the top. I can see in there. Can you see in there? Well, let's see here. Sorry for the abruptness here, but you know, as long as the will it go in anymore? I think we're maxed. Yeah, we're maxed. Okay. Let's cheat a little more here. Yeah, there we go. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay, so I've got that first tooth in the first valley there. The bearing is sitting down inside there. I'm going to turn my collar, my housing, so it's pretty close. And let's give it a little wiggle here. And I'll bet that damn bearing fell out again as soon as I started moving. Yeah. Who called it? Bearing fell out. Okay. So it's oh, little wiggle there and crap like that. It went back in, it looks like. So yeah, it's in. I'm still fighting with the housing collar here, it looks like. And for some reason that's not bottoming out where I want it. All right, I'll take a look at that, but I think that gives you an idea from that angle. Maybe one more. Okay, wow. That camera is just 3 inches away from there, so hopefully it's focused and everything. We're going to yank this thing out one more time. Okay, it's nearly it's almost at the end stop right there. Okay, you can see it bind up and lift up the sector shaft. Okay, so I'm just going to turn it back a little bit. I don't have to turn it back all the way. And then I'm going to grab this. As it wiggles out and the sector shaft moves, you can see that it comes out of the bearing at the end there. Okay, and that bearing falls out. And then I turn the whole thing at a bit of an angle there so that I get my clearance on the block. Now let's see if I get lucky and can get that bearing, bearing up in there again. Okay, so now I'm not going to put the block in any particular position. It's just on there. I mean, as far as the shaft goes, the rotation of the shaft, like I showed before. So I've got it in the tooth I want. Okay. Now I'm just going to shove it forward and get that bearing lined up. And if you saw that, the shaft spun freely. That's the thing about ball screws. They'll spin like that. And I know you can't really see it over here, but we did bottom out here. So as long as those first two teeth are mated okay, you're good to go. That means that your pitman arm, okay, goes all the way that way. It has bottomed out against the casting over there, and we'll go all the way the other way without shoving it out of the casing, and it's bottomed out the other way. Okay, and this last tooth is in the last tooth, so we're perfectly centered. Everything's good to go. I just have to put the bolts back in. So hopefully that's the last take. I got a couple other things to go over about the steering wheel and stuff with shortening the shaft. So I'm going to pull it out, probably clean it up just a little bit, and move on to addressing the shaft. But as far as getting the shaft and the collar, the tubing in and out, that's I think we've covered that 6 ways from Sunday. All right, I thought I'd go over this one last time, okay? And I'm going to pull back a little bit here so you can see a bigger shot. All the other ones were concentrated more on detail, you know, getting up close and seeing exactly what you're looking at. So on this, I want to show you what I'm talking about with the whole column and the shaft having to go over there a little too far. Now I'm bottomed out there. I'm going to go ahead and bring it back the other direction. Okay, it bottomed out. I'm going to come back a turn or two. Really doesn't matter. What I'm doing is I'm giving myself enough room so that when the pitman arm and the cross sector shaft rotate, it lets the steering shaft come up out of this bearing, and that's what allows it to pull over. So wiggle a little bit there to get the tube out. Now I'm kind of cheating a bit because I have the bushing and a pair of vice grips up there on there to keep the tubing from just sliding up. If I had the steering wheel on, I'd do the same thing, but I'd have to be fighting all that weight. So if you have two people, it'll certainly help. So I've pulled back a little bit, and I'm going to pull back a little more. You saw the sector shaft move there, and then I just was able to come over at an angle there, okay? You see that? If I come straight back, it hits the side over here. It doesn't quite do it, so I got to lean it over and let the cage out, and that lets it out of the tooth there, okay? So I think we'll set this down for a few minutes, and going back in, same thing. Got to kind of come in at an angle there, and hopefully I got all the footage. Right, why not? I probably should have put the bearing back up in there first, but okay, bearing's in there. So I've done this enough times now. It's getting pretty easy. I'm just down close to the end there, okay, and I'm just going to hold the ball cage there, just enough to get it lined up there, and then just push straight in, and into the bearing it went. No big deal. So we'll just pull it back out some more. Now that bottomed out. I can't quite get enough space there. I had to turn it just a little bit to buy some more room there, which is why you don't want to be bottomed out in either direction. So okay, that's it.